Hey everybody, Travis here from Figure Around and Find Out. Thank you for clicking on our video as always. Sitting here on our front porch at Kilgore's Landing, Chesteros in beautiful and scenic Rossville, Georgia. I'm out here with my lovely wife Heather, my little ninjetti. And been a while since the last video. No real new developments until recently. Since I saw you last, she and I went and spent 8 days in Paris, France. Had a wonderful time. Came back, caught the Rona. Quarantined from that, so we're all doing all right. So anyway, going to be a long video today. These tend to be long anyway. I know going in this one's going to be lengthy because got a couple of results to some experiments that I want to show you, and we're going to set up a couple more babies, get them going, some more experiments. So in no particular order, I believe my last video we talked about dehydrating figs, and I never did show you the results. Where's the camera on this thing? Yeah. Apologies for the lighting. Again, I'm not super tech savvy. But yeah, just split them in half and put them on parchment paper on a cookie sheet and baked them at 170 degrees, 8-10 hours. I've done it a couple of times, and it varies a little bit with the size of the fig and how densely you have them packed on the cookie sheet. Now, this time I had something happen I've never seen before, and it was a couple hours into the dehydration process in the oven. I don't know, maybe a third of the tray got this syrup that ran out of it, and as you can see, I tried to peel it up. Oh, and these are not the figs from the last dehydration video. Those have long since been eaten. This is a new batch from a couple days ago, and when I peeled them up, I decided to try and keep that jelly. I've never seen that happen before. I don't know if it'll happen again. I do intend to dehydrate more figs. But it's delicious. I don't know what, if anything, it means for the shelf life of the figs. According to my research, what I've read, once dehydrated, if you keep them in like a Ziploc bag or a vac seal bag, keep them airtight, they'll store for up to 2 years. I don't know what, if any, difference that'll make, but in the short term, it's absolutely delicious. I ain't mad about it at all. The only thing I would advise that you might care about, I'll find one here. As with any batch of figs, there were large ones and small ones. That may be the closest. And some of the smaller figs dehydrate so much that that's not quite crunching. Some of them have been on the verge of crunchy. Not burned, no black, no carbon, no taste of char, but just really dehydrated, really dry. I don't mind. I'll gnaw on a chewier fig, almost crunchy fig, fine with me. But this is the last little bit of some figs, just shy of 6 pounds of figs that we dehydrated the other day. So that's cool. Now, the next thing I want to tell you about, I think I meant to address it in the last video, but forgot, I think. And even if I didn't forget, I'm going to address it again. If you're trying to get your fig orchard established and you don't have access to enough figs to suit your insatiable desire to eat figs like me, look around your neighborhood. There's a national park near us, Battlefield, Chickamauga Battlefield. Matter of fact, I'll tell you where it is. And there's a neighborhood just right outside the battlefield with what appears to be a wild fig tree just growing in the grass strip between the sidewalk and the road. And we've stopped and checked it out. I'm almost certain it's a male fig tree, meaning that the figs are small and probably not going to be very flavorful. We did find one ripe fig, and it was not bad, but it wasn't good. It was just kind of bland as figs go, and very small too, like not quite the size of a quarter. Check that one again in a few days just to make sure we're not letting anything get by us. But even though those figs aren't really delicious, they still, illustrate the point. Look around. Look around. There's wild, I assume that the self-fertile figs that grow in this area produce viable seeds, because I'm told that the Mississippi Mojo fig from a couple videos back down in Clarksdale, Mississippi, I'm told that it came up as a wild fig tree, and the guy who owns the shack up in, he's a historian of the place. He's aware of all the comings and goings, and if somebody had planted a fig tree, he would know. It's apparently just grew wild under the porch of one of the shacks there. So there are wild fig trees. Now, wild fig trees may or may not produce edible fruit. They might be male, they might be female. If they're male, the fruit's going to be small and bland. If they're female, they may or may not be good. But ask. Also, ask your neighbors. I'm not going to go inside and get them, but we did a fig haul today. Our main fig tree right over here, it's covered in figs. They're ripening in onesies and twosies. It hasn't quite hit its stride yet. They're still swelling up real big, like almost fist size. Pleased about that. But anyway, while we wait on it to get rolling, there's a fig tree nearby us at an abandoned house that we've been routinely harvesting for a couple of years. It's completely abandoned. Last year the house was decaying, literally. Somebody has bought it and renovated it, but it's still unoccupied. It's got the realtor lock on the door. Somebody moves in, we'll definitely talk to them. If there were anybody there, we would ask them. I'm not telling anybody to trespass, but the house is quite literally deserted. But what did we get from there today, baby? 15 pounds? 14, north of 14, like 14.2 pounds of figs in one damn day. Now, last year, between our fig tree, our established fig tree, which we think may be a San Pietro, it was labeled as a brown turkey, but the leaf shape is wrong, and the fruit is not quite colored right. But between that one, when it got rolling last year, and the abandoned fig tree, which is what we call it, it's just the abandoned tree, we were getting 5 to 7 pounds of figs every 2 to 3 days. We have been getting, what did we get, 10 2 days ago? Yeah, we got 10 pounds of figs off of it 2 days ago, which was made into jam, by the way, which I have not yet gotten to taste, but Heather's a whiz in the kitchen, so I'm sure it's delicious. But we got 10 pounds off of that thing 2 days ago, and went by today in the rain. We're both soaked, but had been cooped up recuperating from the Rona. We wanted to get outside, so fuck it, we got wet, we'll drip dry. But we went and got 14.2 pounds of figs 2 days later, and that's even with us having this access to this many figs and preparing them for dehydration and preserves. We're learning when to pick them. Quite frankly, up to this point, it's been hot damn figs, and probably have been picking a few prematurely. So even with us being real selective, and thus far in our experience, feel is more important than color. It may vary by variety, more on that in a moment, but thus far, more than anything, you want to go by feel, because I've found soft figs that were really delicious and ripe that were not quite as dark as others that were dark but not quite soft. So let feel be your guide more than anything. Now, after we left the abandoned fig tree, there's another fig tree nearby, and that lady, I believe I may have talked about this in a previous video. I literally last year stopped and left a note on her windshield and left my number, and she was kind enough to text me back. We have not yet met face to face, but we stay in text communication periodically regarding fig stuff. And I had told her that my cuttings I took last year didn't survive. She gave me permission to get more cuttings and also to harvest figs. She apparently doesn't fool with a fig tree. So after we left the abandoned fig tree, we went to this other lady's fig tree. And I had fully intended to get several small cuttings for fig pop cuttings, which were the ones that I did a couple videos ago with plastic bags. I'm a son of a bitch. I forgot to get bags ready for fig pop. Oh well, that'll happen off the video. Shit. But anyway, went and harvested, and we got 4 pounds, just shy of 5 pounds of figs off of that tree. Now, it's somewhat smaller than the abandoned tree. Maybe not quite as big as our established probable San Pietro over here. But this branch, as you can see the damage on the ground here, this thing had grown out horizontally and was lying on the ground. There's a broken off little branch right here that I just broke before I turned on the camera. This thing was laying on the ground. That had been run over by a weed eater, or a lawnmower, I mean. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get at least 2 fig pops on this one. And yeah, I may show the prep for that. Rain's coming in heavier. Yeah, so I'm going to get at least 2 fig pops off of this, and also, thank you, baby. A little larger than what I usually use, but since, thank you, little ninjetti, she brought me fig bags. I normally like to take these and use the vac sealer and seal them twice down the middle and cut between those to make these narrower. But fuck it, this time I'll take the hit and just use a bigger bag. Thank you, baby. So anyway, I'm going to do at least 2 fig pops off of this because I'm having real good results with that. More on that in a moment. But then I'm also, I forget if I documented this or not, we had a failed air layer attempt that I've decided to make a go of, and literally just stuck that sumbitch down in the end in a pot of potting soil and stripped all the leaves off but 2, and I'm a son of a bitch if it didn't survive. So I took that to another friend of mine who is a fig nut that I'd given a baby to last year, but it's still really small, so I gave her one that's about 2 or 3 feet tall, got her kind of head started. So we'll come back to that one with the fig pop. One more thing on fig pop, speaking of which, a couple of videos ago, speaking of Mississippi Mojo, I don't know if you can see it, I don't have my glasses on, and my glasses are all foggy and dingy and fucked up from being out in the rain, but this is Miss Mojo, Mississippi Mojo. This fig pop, well, we'll come back to that. This is the Bosnian fig cutting. I still have Mississippi Mojo fig cutting in the windowsill in a bottle of water, and a Bosnian cutting in a bottle of water, and both of those have started producing roots. But I'm telling you, fig pop, this is the Bosnian fig. And there's a couple of small roots that you can't maybe make out, just a couple little white spots, but look on the back side here, look at that big beautiful root there, and there's another one here right there on the side, and another one along, nope, that's not another one, that's the main one there. It runs along the bottom. So yeah, you got 2 real good roots, and these little branches that are coming off are just like a day or 2 old. They weren't there, I don't think, the last time I looked. Oh, look at there, another root right up there. Pardon me. This one, as you may recall, is just straight up fig pop. Cutting, damp soil in a bag. Zip. God damn it, I forgot zip ties too. I may send my little ninjetti in there for zip ties. Or not. Anyway, we'll get it figured out. So anyway, that's straight up fig pop, and it has made up a lot of ground in the past couple of days. So straight fig pop works just fine, but modified fig pop that I did on the Mississippi Mojo here, I mean, it's got visible white roots on this side 2, which I think you can see. Again, funky lighting and my glasses being fucked up. But I mean, there's a good long root running along that seam. And there's 1 to 3 good long roots here. I can't tell if that's one that's folded over or if it's multiple roots. But I mean, oh yeah, and there's a good one right there. Yeah, fig pop plus ringing, a part of the cutting and scraping the cambium off and applying rooting hormone. I think this is going to be my preferred method for propagation of cuttings. I still probably like air layer overall best because it's growing on a living tree, and when you do it right, there's no question of it getting enough nutrients and water and shit like that. I do like air layering, but air layering is not always an option. You may meet a kind of Bosnian stranger who gives you a fig, or you might find a wild fig tree in, you know, Clarksdale, Mississippi, and take a cutting off of that because you want to keep a memento of a place you love. So several fig trees in France, didn't really have access to get to them. Probably just as well, as I understand it, I believe it's probably illegal. I'm going to try to clean my glasses here while we talk, but my shirt's wet. I don't know how much good it's going to do. But I believe it might be illegal to...
Pretty sure that's correct.
Yeah, and I would never do anything illegal. As evidenced by me telling you not to trespass on abandoned properties or, you know, occupied properties. Talk to the owners. Don't break the law. Figs ain't worth that. But, so sometimes cuttings are the way, and I think modified fig pop is going to be my preferred method for cuttings. Another thing that I like about them is it produces cuttings that are small enough for me to keep on my windowsill. Like, you know, like when I go to up pot a fig pop, I wouldn't use anything bigger than this at first, and I think that would get me enough time to make it through the winter on my kitchen windowsill where it can still get some sunlight and be warm, and make it through to the spring, at which point I would, you know, up pot it to a larger pot outside, or possibly even plant it directly where it goes. One final thing before we start on some modified fig pops here. Now this is an unknown fig variety, and I think I probably addressed this in the previous video where I was talking about fig pop. This came from a fig tree that grows on the side of the road on a street in nearby East Ridge, Tennessee. And not gonna lie, I didn't talk to the owner. I stopped and broke off a lignified cutting, but I mean, it was growing 3 feet out into the road. Tree was not being maintained. I don't really feel bad about that. Maybe I should, I don't know. But anyway, I was concerned about it because the talk I hear in my fig forums is that non-lignified cuttings are harder to root. That may be true. This is my first experiment with non-lignified cutting, and I have gotten a, look at that, I have gotten a better root out of this than I've ever done before with lignified cuttings. So, I'm not saying non-lignified is the way. This just happened to work out really well. Oh, and Heather's starting our fall crop seedlings here, so if the camera shakes a little bit, it's just because she's getting potting soil and doing her horticultural projects. But anyway, yeah, I mean, look at that. And I believe, based on the leaf structure, see those long, skinny fingers on that? And the figs, I've had figs off of that one before. Again, it grows out into the street. I don't feel bad at all about riding by with the window down and snagging a fig or two. I believe that one may actually be a brown turkey. Our established fig tree in the front yard here was supposed to be a brown turkey, but again, in looking at images of, you need to see the fruit, an opened fruit, and a leaf to really have an idea on identification. And even then, there's still some guesswork involved. I think I read that there are 1,000 known varieties of fig, and you know there are going to be similarities between some of them. Speaking of which, the fig that we got the cutting from today that I'm going to be fig popping, and also I'm going to take 2 fig pops, and I'm also going to try to do a larger. I'm going to put this in a pot and try to get it to root. We think that one may be a black Italian. The figs on that are real big, not as big as what ours has started producing this year, but way bigger than a golf ball. And so dark purple, they're almost black. So based on a little bit of Googling between the leaf structure and the fruit, I think that may actually be a black Italian. So I'm really excited. That's why I'm trying to do multiple propagation methods off of that, because if I can just get one to take root, if I do 3 and they all take root, great. Somebody's getting black Italian fig plants, you know, for a gift. But if that is in fact black Italian, I'm excited about that, because it's said to be one of the best tasting figs on the planet, along with the Italian honey, like what we have growing in the backyard that hasn't started producing fruit just yet. But regardless of what it is or isn't, it produces striking, dark, beautiful figs, and they're, as Heather pointed out, like, we got a 4.2 or 4.8, I forget, just shy of 5 pounds of figs off of this tree, and it's the first time we've harvested. I just got permission yesterday. But they're so dense. Like, irrespective of size, she pointed out that same volume of figs from our tree or from the abandoned tree would not be as heavy, and I think she's absolutely right. Really striking, dark, big figs, very soft, jammy texture, and probably the most flavorful. As I was telling her, our established fig tree here, and really the abandoned fig tree too, it might be just a fuzz sweeter, but they're both real light and fruity. Like, they would be, I mean, for somebody like me, they're great to just munch on. But, like, if you were going to prepare something with them, of course, they'll work in, you know, jams, preserves, or whatever, and dehydrated. But just the figs themselves, if you were going to eat them fresh, they would be real good with, like, breakfast or brunch. You know, real light, flavorful, not super heavy, like, dense texture. They're delightful fruit. They're really good. But, man, those, what I think may be black Italians, they are so rich and so flavorful that, you know, Heather's the oracle in the kitchen, man. She's a whiz there. And I was telling her about that, and she thinks they might pair well with something more savory, like either dehydrate some and then wrap them in tinfoil and butter with a pork loin, or maybe just doing bacon-wrapped figs, or she came up with an idea. This is why she's the oracle. This stuff just falls out of her. Just taking the fig and kind of splitting it, put a little brie in it, put it back together, and wrap that sumbitch in bacon and bake it like that. The mind boggles at the possibilities. So, but anyway, I'm sorry, ADD, and I'm not even really all that caffeinated. But first thing we're going to do is break this baby loose, and that root is growing out sideways, and I don't want to risk breaking it off here, so I am actually going to cut this bottle, or I'm at least going to try. The idea is to cut this bottle. Y'all pardon the delay here, but I mean, as I have said before, the name of the channel is Figure Around and Find Out, and this is me figuring around. The whole thing is me figuring out, and this is me finding out. Oh, there's that. That the mouth of this fucking bottle does not cut as easily as I figured it was. Or would.
Don't shake your tree too much, you'll break the roots off.
Baby, I'm trying to be as goddamn gentle with it as I can, I promise you.
Use the scissors.
The scissors ain't gonna cut this. If I can get past
I cut through zip ties with that thing.
Yeah, well, this is heavier than zip ties, baby. If I can, okay. I think we're past the heaviest plastic. Let me do one more just to make sure. She's right though. I'm trying real damn hard not to shake this. There we go. Shake this bottle too much because I don't want to damage those roots. As we learned in that video where I tried to up pot the little miniature babies, these roots are not super duper strong. You know what? I need to cut this one more time. Oh, you turn like it. Let's try this. Okay, so we're learning a lesson together here, y'all, and that is you probably need to make sure that you use a bottle with a larger mouth. Now, in my defense, I learned this method from a video. In fact, I've seen multiple videos of people just using a bottle of water like this to produce rooted cuttings. There we go. So in my defense, that's how I learned it. But as I have pointed out to you before, there's a lot of variation in this. Not everything works for everybody. So I may start cutting those off in advance before I start bottle cuttings. Figured around, found out. All right, and this one is going to go in the kitchen windowsill. So I have this pot right here, which, yep, that depth is just about right. I'm going to trim a little bit off the bottom of this, but just a little bit, because I want to make sure to get that root below the soil level, and it's about a near match right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this thing out and trim that to length, and I'm going to hold it in place, and I'm going to have my little ninjetti here take her, and bonus points if you get the ninjetti reference, take the cup and sprinkle the soil in while I hold this thing in place. You ready, Mama Bear?
Sure. Give me just a red hot second here.
All right, before the video's over, I'll show you what she's up to, but she's got 6 Tupperware things that we found on sale, I think at Dollar General or Dollar Tree, Dollar Store, Family Dollar, some damn dollar somewhere. And she has drilled holes in the bottom and is filling them with potting soil to start the seeds for our winter crops. Because while I focus on figs, we are gardening writ large. Alright, let's see if I can get this son of a gun out here. Gently, Kilgore, fucking gently. Look at that.
Easy, Daddy.
Oh, my God, look at that.
That's
Look at
awesome.
that.
Oh, gosh. No.
Look at that, y'all. Look. Oh, my God. That's beautiful. That's
Hold on to
fucking...
that water. You can use it to water your plant.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. So, hang on here and see how... Hang on.
It's got to have some meat on it.
It'll have some. I'm going to... This thing was, again, broken off by hand, and I did not prep the bottom as I normally do by cutting it to like an arrow shape. So I'm going to give myself just a little length here. All right, and she's already, look at that. What a beautiful, beautiful, yeah. Now just real light, baby. Yeah.
He act like I ain't never potted a plant before.
Yeah, she's the brains of this outfit. She really is. And she knows how to take care of them. A lot of what I know, like I know fig specific stuff from learning in fig forums and YouTube videos and shit like that. But just like general plant knowledge, a lot of that I get from her. Now let's get just a little bit, because I noticed there's some more roots that popped there at the top that I didn't notice until I took it out. Just a little more. Yeah, good, good, good. Thank you, baby. Now, I'm not going to compact this soil at all. We have just poured it in there as lightly as we could because we want to preserve the integrity of those roots as best we can. But I'm really excited about this because this is a variety of fig that we do not have. May or may not be a brown turkey. I'll try to identify varieties as I can, but I'm not super hung up on that because, again, there's always going to be an element of uncertainty, you know, unless you were to buy something specifically from a breeder. You know, it might be labeled right, it might not. Ultimately, I don't really care about that. I'll find out if I can, but just because I'm a nerd and for the sake of curiosity and shit like that. But I'll just water this in. Yeah, like as she said, I'll save this water from its propagation, and I'm just going to moisten this a little bit. It's already pretty moist. So, what do you think, babe? Pretty good? Yeah. I'm gonna stop it right there. This pot was, look at there. Yep, good call. This pot was selected. Oh shit, my phone's in the water. That's probably not good. Where'd that black towel go, baby? Right over yonder. But anyway, this pot was selected for that very reason because it's got this little water retention ring around it. And my goofy ass just overwatered.
And it let you know.
And it let me know. So it made a little bit of a mess on the table. I mean, that's fine. We're out here playing with dirt and it's raining. So I'm not super concerned about that. But I do want my phone to keep from getting fucked up. As long as I've got this thing loose, though. Now I'm assuming that's in the camera because I can't see from here.
Yeah, yeah, you got it.
But yeah, that's
Also, point it up at me.
Pro-Ro.
By God.
We are not apolitical at this channel.
Nope, no such thing.
There's the colors. If you don't like it, fuck you. Get off my goddamn channel. But so anyway, let's see here. Now, I may try the most technologically advanced fucking thing I've done in a video thus far. I'm going to try to pause this video. If there's a part 2 to this video, it means that it didn't work out the way I wanted, but I'm going to pause this video, take this thing inside to the windowsill, make myself a drink, and also properly prep my fig pop bags for the 2 cuttings. You know what? I may make 4. Just for the hell of it. Increase my chances of success. But anyway, I'm going to try to pause the video, take this inside, make a drink, get rid of some garbage, do some prep work, and I'll either see you in a moment or in part 2. All right. Now, the camera's not in position yet, but that's okay. I've got to dry the spot again. And plus, I wanted to hit record before the camera petered out. I'm sure that thing won't sit there indefinitely. Hang on here, I'm almost there. Five minutes later. Alrighty. Yeah, let's try that. Okay. So, raw milk. Found that yesterday at the Chattanooga market downtown. Had never had raw milk before, so I had to try it, and I'm glad I did because it dead ass tastes like the milk in France which is not pasteurized. They sterilize it somehow. I'm not sure, UV radiation, maybe, but they don't pasteurize it, and it has a different taste and different mouthfeel. Now, there's apparently quite a bit of debate amongst enthusiasts on the topic about the health benefits of raw milk versus pasteurized. I have no idea. I'm a complete novice to it. I just know that I've liked milk my entire life, and the milk in France is even better, and I found this and it tasted like the milk in France. So now at $9 a gallon, it's not something I'll drink as often as I do regular old grocery store milk, but it's nice. So while I was inside, in addition to getting a drink and taking a piss, I took the aforementioned 6x10, I think they are, vac seal bags, which are great for sealing up green beans and okra and all kinds of other shit. That's really more Heather's purview. We can and freeze, but they also work for fig pop. Now, as you can see, I took and folded each bag in half so I had a guideline, and then I sealed it twice. I literally turned it sideways in the sealer, closed the lid, and we're not vacuum sealing it, obviously, so I didn't hit the vacuum button, just hit seal. But I did 2 seams of heat seal, which is probably overkill, but the Kilgore family motto is anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So just in the interest of making sure that those seams don't bust open and fuck up my fig babies, I double seam them. So there's that. Now, I'm going to get the fig pops ready. Now, let's get this figured out here. See what I did there. This thing was on the ground in several places, so it was actually starting to not air layer, but naturally layer. Figs propagate that way. Branches will come out and they'll get long enough and or laden with fruit enough to actually lay on the ground. Now, the damage I pointed out earlier was from a lawnmower. I'm pretty sure this is where it was actually touching the ground, and you can see that bark has like been damaged, and probably would have started growing roots before too terribly long. But now, as is the way when rooting things, of course, you have, rooting cuttings, you have to prune most of the foliage off. So I'll probably take and make a fig pop here. Can I do 2?
You like saying that word, don't you?
What's that?
Fig pop.
Yeah.
Sounds neat, don't it?
It is a neat word. We're figuring around and finding out here, because in one of the fig pop videos I've watched, this guy, most of the cutting videos you see of people rooting cuttings are of smaller, like you can see that's not as big as my index finger, and that's roughly about the size of my index finger. That's mostly the size you see. But in the fig pop video that I watched, which I'm not going to link because I'm not that technologically swift, he was rooting. It looked like he had taken his tree and pruned it way back at the end of the growing season, which I'm probably going to do this year myself. But he had some pieces, that were bigger around than the base of my thumb. I mean, in the neighborhood of an inch in diameter, and was successfully rooting them using the fig pop method. So what I figure I'll do, I may make 1 fig pop out of this, 1 out of this, And I'm going to try 2 out of this, and then that will leave this and this foliage, which will be trimmed, to be put in a pot and try to root that. Now, I am going to use rooting hormone on all of this because it seems to help quite a bit. I'm a big fan. The stuff is cheap, it's easy to fuck with, and based on my experiments with the Mississippi Mojo versus the Bosnian pops, one of which had hormone and the other did not. I'm trying to do this without knocking over my milk or my camera, knocking any tools off the table. Yeah, that's lignified. I'm going to make these into big pops. And then I'm going to cut this right here. Yeah. And I'm going to make that one into a couple of fig pops. And I'm going to set this one aside. All right. Let's see here. Now, you don't use leaves for fig pop. Yeah, just a moment, baby. So I'm going to divide this into 2 right there. I have the scissors to Mama Bear. And we're going to... This is going to be somewhat unorthodox because, as you can see, this one is going to be bent. I don't know that it'll matter. We'll find out. Now, one thing I have seen in the fig pop videos, when they prep them, well, no, that's not true, because there wasn't the green nubbin where that guy was growing the thicker stalks. But the smaller ones, now they take the leaves off, tend to, but they do leave the little green nubbin there on the ends, which I guess is just sort of an indicator of the overall health of the cutting. Set these leaves aside. I'm going to have quite a bit of cleanup afterwards. You don't see those in the video, but Heather will tell you I am very meticulous. All my tools go back where they're supposed to go. All my trash gets cleaned up. And this is going to be a smaller pop, but I think it'll work. Prep 2 more here. All right, now this one, okay, we're going to experiment without, well, no. One of them is going to be, one of them is going to be without the little green nubbin. Now I could probably try to root this, but you know, having fooled with it, I've established that I can produce viable plants doing that, but it's actually kind of a pain in the ass. So I don't think I'm necessarily interested in doing the little bitty fig baby propagation thing anymore. Now this one, the top piece here that I will make into a fig pop is gonna, you know what, actually, this top part is not lignified. So this is going to be something of an experiment in and of itself. But the top one will have the little nubbin, and the bottom will not. So there's that. All right, 4 little pop babies. And I may stop the video before I may make it a second video. I don't know. We're coming up on an hour here. We're getting a little long in the tooth. Hey, baby. Could I ask you to, well, shit. How moist is that soil in the bag? A little moist.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Not quite what I need. I do need to bite a fig.
You need to add more water to your dirt.
Yeah, do we have a little container we can mix it in? We don't, handy, do we? Solo cup? No, just rainwater. Do coloration on this water. Get a couple of 5-gallon buckets set up on the rail where we need to address a gutter issue. But it's kind of neat because we also need to clean our gutters badly. But the water that we collect there is nice and brown because it's like a compost tea because of the leaf litter and such that's in the that are in
our gutters.
In our gutters. So now this does not need to be super damp. You're just looking for moist. It's a good word, isn't it? Moist. Moist. I know there are some people who hate that word. I don't understand it, but I'm sorry. Yes, I'm moist. Use it. Moist. Yeah, apparently too much moisture in the soil leads more towards rot than root, and that is not what we're after here. So now if I'd have been a little bit more meticulous in my prep for this project, then I would have brought a larger bowl in which to do this. But, you know, quite frankly, part of this channel, this whole experiment is just not only finding out what does work, but also just kind of learning how to make do. You know, I hate to say it, but I fear that hard times may be in the not too distant future. I hope I'm wrong. Boy, do I hope I'm wrong. But just in case I'm not, learning how to do all this stuff, you know, and again, to do that which Southerners do so well, which is make do. I think it may help us out here. Now, this is the pot that I'm actually going to use for the larger cutting attempt. Come on now. I also probably should have brought a fucking spoon. That's alright though, we'll get there.
That's a little bit smaller.
think I can make this work, baby. Thank you. Get you a partner, whatever gender or genders or partner you're into. Get you a partner that knows how to grow shit. They're handy. And they're a lot of fun. Forget what I have or have not maybe mentioned in the videos before, but sort of got into this gardening thing, the broader gardening thing, maybe not necessarily the figs. But, you know, just to make my wife feel valued, to invest in her dreams and her projects and hobbies and shit like that, because she's supported me and in my endeavors, you know, being a touring musician, such. So, you know, it started just trying to be a good partner, much to our mutual surprise and delight. Shit. Not that. Much to our mutual surprise and delight, hell, I got to where I enjoy it. So, do shit together with your partner. You ain't got to take them to Paris for 8 days, although it doesn't hurt. But,
It definitely doesn't hurt.
You're not just growing figs. You're not just growing plants. You're growing your relationship. Isn't that right, baby?
That's right.
All right. So I'm going to do this one pop and wrap this video up because we're coming up on an hour. And I'm going to start a second one for that. All right. Let's start with this one. Now, per the little Indonesian dude, I think he skinned it south of here, but applied the rooting hormone. Now, I use south and north. That is purely my terminology. There's no value judgment there. It could be up or down. It could be stalk and stem. I don't know if there is an accepted, universal, or even widely used terminology referring to directions on a fig plant or cutting. I just use north and south. I travel a lot. But anyway, that guy in the air layering video, from which I got this part, not the fig pop, but the girdling and scraping and hormoning, he girdled a section, as I am doing, and scraped off the cambium, as I am going to do. See here? I just went around in a ring and then sliced down, and we're just peeling that off. Look at there. All right. Now, according to what I have read and heard and seen, the purpose of scraping the cambium here, which actually I don't think I did on that Mississippi Mojo fig over there that's rooting so well. I can't remember, but I don't think I did. But apparently the purpose of doing this is you interrupt the cambium. Now, I've seen propagation methods that talk about using the cambium, and I don't know enough to say what is or is not absolutely true. But what I can say is that the guy who did that air layering video that I found to be so impressive and helpful, he girdled it, he scraped it, and he used a gel rooting hormone, which I have not personally seen. You could probably find it on Amazon pretty easily, but all I've found around here is the powdered stuff. Now, he applied the rooting hormone, I think, north of the girdling, and let it dry for 24 hours on the plant. Between not having the gel to act as an adhesive and hold it on there, and this not being attached to the plant, I'm not going to do the 24-hour drying thing, and I will be applying the rooting hormone directly to where I've girdled here, as I did there, and got such good results. Oh yeah, look at there. this method, the girdled area is still pretty moist. So that kind of helps the powder to adhere. I'm going to set that right there. Now, in order to keep from knocking the rooting hormone off of the cutting, I'm going to take le stick. And let's get that kind of compacted a little bit. Just a little bit. We just want to make a hole that we can slide this cutting down into without knocking too awful much of the rooting hormone powder off. I'm not 100% sure how successful I was in that endeavor, but let's bring this back up here. I did try to get some more soil around this, just because I wanted it to have as much medium as possible. Now, I have read and heard in my fig forums that when doing fig pop, the biggest mistake people make is up potting them before they're ready. So with the Mississippi Mojo there that had already gotten started, and also going forward with these, I am going to try to let them get a real good root ball going. Now, the fig pop video that I saw that I liked so much, the guy used rubber bands. I don't have rubber bands. I mean, I'm sure I could scrounge to the house and find a few rubber bands, but I should probably get a box of them or a bag of them, or ever what the fuck unit bags are sold in. So yeah, there we have a fig pop. You know what? I told you a lie. This is not a half a fig pop bag. This is about 2/3. This is half. Let's find out. So this is more efficient. I get two pop bags per vac bag, but may not have enough medium there to produce a big enough root ball. We're gonna figure around and find out. Now, on the plus side, Candy, the lady who owns that fig tree, does not mind us taking cuttings at all, because we're always very respectful of her property. Unless you're dealing with an abandoned house or a wild fig tree that nobody really owns. Oh, god damn, it's good. If there's a homeowner to deal with, be righteous. Deal with them. Talk to them. Respect their property. So, anyway, that's update on dehydration figs, progress on the fig pop babies, progress on one of the water bottle babies that has now been up potted. And I'm going to stop this video during the break between videos. I'm going to go ahead and get these other 3 fig pop babies prepared and labeled. I forgot a Sharpie like a dumbass. But I'm gonna get that done and set aside, and then I'll do another video for wait. You know what? Fuck it. I want to do 4 fig pops, which I got the 4 that I prepped earlier, and I actually intended to do fig pops on this, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I may round up another pot. We have a collection of various. Every time we buy a plant, when we up pot it, we have a store of pots of various sizes for other projects. I may get another pot and try 2 of these where I prep them and stick them in the dirt and keep them moist. So fuck it, we're gonna have 6 black Italian temps. But anyway, I'm going to stop this video. There'll be another one momentarily, and finish that up, and then I'll come back with the other video. But just in case you don't watch the other video, as always, I'm Travis from Figure Around and Find Out. Heather's inside, but she's been my lovely bride, my assistant, my little ninjetti. And thank you for watching my video. I hope you find them helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to chime in with a comment. The odds of me knowing the answer are actually pretty slim, but I could at least point you maybe specifically towards, if it's a question about a particular method, I might be able to find the link to the video from which I learned it and point you towards that. Or if you just want to shoot the shit. Clearly, I'm not afraid of running my mouth. So anyway, as always, thank you for checking out our video. Hope you're having good luck with your fig experiments, and I'll see you in just a few minutes.